Hi, this is Misty Rosas, and you are listening to the FSF podcast.
The show where the sad part about the jokes is that we wrote them.
Our show is brought to you by our charity sponsor, the Red Shirt Widows and Orphans Fund, which supports the Wish Upon a Teen Foundation that helps out sick kids when they need it most. And just imagine the comfort you'll give Red Shirt crewman number 127. She'll know that when she puts on the red shirt and joins Mando in on a space adventure to protect her eggs, that she didn't leave her family destitute and without hope, because the Red Shirt Widows and Orphans Fund has her back, and what's left of her egg sack.
All right, so our guest today is a longtime stuntwoman and actress who you've seen in movies and television shows, either on screen or as a stunt person in shows like The Hunger Games, Van Helsing, Sliders, The Mandalorian, and there's a whole lot more that we can talk about, and we probably will talk about at some point during our conversation today. We are so excited to welcome Misty Rosas to the FSF Popcast. Welcome to the show, Misty.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, excellent. Well, we're excited to have you. Anytime I can get somebody from Star Wars onto the show, I'm a little bit like a kid in a candy store, so I'll hold my giggling till later when I have I get to a more Star Wars specific question. But for right now, we'll start off with one of the things that I like to learn about our guests is to find out the history or the background. What got them to the place where they're at. And because we're nerds, we love origin stories. So we'd love to know the origin story of Misty Rosas and how you got to where you're at and what led you to your career in acting and stunt work.
The origin of my journey is gymnastics. I was very rambunctious from the time I was born, and really, in order to save my parents' furniture, because I was jumping on everything and hanging on everything, the couch, the beds, just everything. And my brother at the time, he was watching gymnastics and stuff, and it's like, why don't you put her in a gymnastics class? And I was 2.5, and from the moment I took that first class, I was just hooked, and there would be tears after every class. Like, I just didn't want to go home. And so gymnastics from the time I was 2.5 until I was 20 was very much my life. And it is the foundation of the strength physically that I've built, discipline. I obviously, dancing is part of gymnastics with the floor routines, and there is choreography on the beam, and a timing and a flow. So dancing was also part of that origin story as well. And from gymnastics, after I decided to shift, I did go straight into performing arts and music and dance class. And then I ended up auditioning for Disneyland when I was 18. So that is how I got my first experience in character suits. And then from there, as fate would have it, it was like a crossing of my, storylines as a gymnast, the production and producers and, the Kennedy Marshall Company contacted my gymnastics coach that I trained with as an elite gymnast. And they were looking for people under 5 feet that were, still had long arms, long legs, and extreme strength to audition for their movie, which I didn't know at the time, Congo. So that's when my life really took a 180-degree turn into this very specific performing arts type of, career. So it was cool. A little backwards with acting class. I went to acting class after Congo. So it was just like this moment where all of the work, all of the training, it paid off in a different way for me, where, Congo was that gift. So, and then it just from there, that was the trajectory. And I haven't looked back since.
How often did they use a real gorilla for Amy?
They didn't.
They
Not
didn't?
one.
You were just Amy all the time? Okay.
It was me and my partner, Lorene No. She is fantastic. She did, she was able to really grasp it a little bit more than I did. I did all of the stunts and the very physical work, and she did all of the beautiful, nuanced work. So we were a team, and it was super necessary because that was just it's a grueling job. My friend David St. Pierre, actually saw him yesterday for a meeting, and he was one of the gray gorillas, and we were talking about gorilla performance in the suits, and it is just the hardest. I was like, I don't know if I can do it now. So of course I would, but I would have to really, really train and really focus hard for that one because it's extreme.
How do you go about doing stunts inside of a suit? I guess that's a complex issue.
It's like anything. Again, my background as a gymnast, I took my first really hard fall when I was 6, on the beam, and ultimately off the beam, doing a back walkover into a back tuck, and my feet were too far to the side. So when I landed, my foot slipped and I hit my thigh and flipped over and ended up crashing, into the crash pads. So I've had a lifetime of learning how to fall properly without really hurting myself. So it was a combination of the 3.5 months of training that we did for Congo, and also then taking, again, that foundation of my gymnastics training to what they needed for the stunt work and stuff. So, rolling down the hill, sliding down the hill, and then, grabbing onto the branch with one hand and then pulling the other hand up. So, yeah, things like that. So
I gotta go rewatch that movie now.
You started talking about climbing all over your parents' furniture, and I'm like, oh, gymnastics classes for my daughter. That's not a bad idea.
Yes, it's just joy. Little ones need that release. Like, at first when they're super young like that, it's just like you unleash them into the gym and it's just craziness and chaos, and they just run around and jump and expel all of that wonderful energy without furniture being broken. So.
Yeah. Like as soon as you started mentioning it, I'm like, all right, opening another tab, searching for gymnastics classes near me. I will look at that later.
Yep.
Yeah, she has a
I highly recommend it.
very active 4-year-old.
She is a very active 4-year-old.
Yeah.
She's a hoot. She's a hoot, but she's active.
She's a nut. She's a nut. So jumping from your origin story to your most recent work, and don't worry, Tim, we are going to get to Star Wars. I promise. We will talk Star Wars. Your newest credit on IMDb as of this afternoon is a film called My Favorite Girlfriend, which sounds like it's an interesting premise. So what can you tell us about the film and your character Regina's role in the story?
Oh, gosh. It's one of those moments, again, I've trained for this, but I'm super shy. And, I'm not one. I'm very comfortable, obviously, underneath suits. And my friend Amanda wrote and directed this film. We've been close friends and hustling hard in Los Angeles for a while. And, it was kind of born during the pandemic. And so Zoom read through after Zoom read through, she gave me this character to read, and I really, really liked her. I think the best way to describe her is what Amanda wrote, which is she embodies on the outside the tenacity that I have that I usually keep on the inside. She's much more bold and fierce, and I thought originally, because she's only in 2 scenes, I signed on and said, yes, okay, I'll do this. And then little by little, the producers really liked what I was doing. So it ended up being many more scenes than that. And, it's, I really highly recommend the movie. It's very sweet. Yes, it's a rom-com, but it definitely has a very powerful and a very I would say in so many ways, a nurturing message for everybody, especially at this time in, in life with everything that's been going on with everyone and coming out of the pandemic. And
Yeah.
I've spoken to quite a few of my yoga students because on the side, I teach yoga as my karma job. And a lot of them are talking about just the anxiety and stress they have. And it's like, just don't underestimate the PTSD of what we've all experienced, and just be gentle with yourself, breathe through your practice, and don't force or push, and really be kind to your heart right now. So
I feel like that's something that so many people are overlooking, of what everybody went through individually during the pandemic, whether it was pandemic related or life related, that you didn't get your typical support system with. There's a lot to unpackage there.
Yeah. And so I really do encourage people, if they're struggling, there's all kinds of different groups, and, don't be embarrassed and don't be shy. Our mental health is connected to our physical health, that is connected to our spiritual health, all of it together. They don't, you can't compartmentalize any of them. So, whatever it is you need to do, if it is yoga, if it's meditation, if it's playing soccer, if it's basketball, or a group, of some sort, just get out there and don't be afraid to share and talk, because people, whether you understand it or not, are so caring and loving and willing to help. And really, that is what you'll experience in this movie, is the struggles that people go through silently. You get a glimpse into their lives and how, love will help people to really overcome that. So yeah, awesome. It's where I'm headed, to be honest. I'm actually editing my acting reel this week. So I actually want to do some more jobs.
That's cool. So exciting. And it cracks me up with the ridiculousness of the taboo around mental health, that if any other part of your body is hurt, people tell you to go to the doctor. But when it is the actual essence of the human being, when it is your brain, the thing that controls everything else in your body, somehow it's not okay for you to get help for it. And it's so dumb.
Yeah. I just, there are hotlines, if anyone out there is struggling and listening to this, our wonderful conversation, just call the number. Even just the action of doing that will help. And every single one of us struggles and has rough moments. There's not one person on this planet that isn't going through something, so you're not alone. And just talk to somebody. Start with a friend. So that helps you get to where you're going.
That's great advice. I think on a slightly softer note, I think it's awesome that you're doing a rom-com, strictly because there hasn't been very many good rom-coms in the last 5 or so years. If it's something's not blowing up, I mean, trust me, I like it when things blow up on screen. It's fun to watch.
But you also like rom-coms.
I do, actually.
I don't like it.
And they're fun. I mean, hey, for me and my wife, my wife doesn't really, she's not really into Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and things like that, like I am. But, but that's something that we like to do together and things like that. So having the idea and knowing that there's a fun movie coming out that, like, hey, because I'm gonna tell my wife about it. Like, hey, let's you and I sit down and we're gonna check it out. And so for me, that's something cool, is that I can say, hey, there's this cool rom-com. It just doesn't happen that often anymore.
Popcorn and snuggles.
That's right. Popcorn and snuggles. Let's watch a movie.
We just got to get musicals in there for you, Tim.
That's probably not going to happen.
Musical rom-com.
Probably not going to happen. But nice try, though.
Come on, we got you this close with Schmigadoon. Come on.
You did get me into
throw you over the edge into it.
Yeah, I will say probably the most gratifying moment is one of my younger brothers brought my mom up to our little screening for the first time, being in a theater with friends and family, I was sitting next to him, and same thing. He loves Star Wars and Indiana Jones and, horror films, and nothing to do really with rom-coms, but he laughed through the whole film. And anytime I heard him laugh, it just, warmed my heart. So
Oh, that's awesome.
It's very witty and humorous. And again, everybody who was in the film, because it's a little indie film, everyone did it for the love of the work.
Even better.
And they just brought 110%. So,
well, cool.
Thanks.
Looking forward to seeing it.
Yay, thank you.
So, Misty, we all have a little bit of something that we hold close to our hearts.
Mm-hmm.
What was a project or something a little less known that you worked on that you wish got a little more love and attention?
I don't know. I love all of them. And my thing is just, it'll find its feet somewhere. Let me think about that one. I guess probably, my favorite girlfriend. It's, it's out there, and I'm not allowed to say where it's going next, but Amanda got some good news yesterday. So,
Ooh.
but we can't say anything yet, but we're hoping that this little film, gets some love, not because any other reason, but we really want people to see it so they know, like, again, if they're struggling through stuff, that's everybody right now. And
Sure.
There's all kinds of outlets for help and support and love. So, and to not be afraid of that.
Well, I'm very
Fair
excited
enough.
for whatever the good news is.
Yes, so hopefully it's coming soon.
Good news is still good news, whether or not you can talk about it.
Yeah,
That's right. Whether told now or delayed a little bit, good news is always something we'll take. So,
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool.
And now, a word from our show sponsor, Level Up Sabers. Their link can be found in the show notes.
Now, Misty, one of the things that many people may not know about you is that you're also a singer. You've had a few singles out, you've had an EP out, and you've even had the opportunity to sing the National Anthem at Dodger Stadium. So what I'm curious is if you could tell our audience about your music, what kind of music you have, because I've listened to a few of your songs, and I will say that you've got a powerful but not overwhelming voice, if that makes sense to you. It's
It
very
does.
easy to listen to. You can hit the high notes. You're able to hit the notes, but it's never anything where I was like, wow, she's just really singing out of the side of the stadium, and I don't want to listen to that anymore. It was very easy to listen to. That's what what I'm trying to get at. But I liked your music. And so tell us about your music and what was it like to sing at Dodger Stadium?
Thank you. Thank you so much for the compliment. It means a lot. And I will share that with my vocal coach because he's always saying, it's like, you have a lot of power. You don't need to use that much power. Be very much more technical and specific with your pitch. I was like, okay. So I'm always working on that.
I think you nailed it. So
Thank you. I would say it is very much, in the pop genre. What the songs sound like are very much negotiated with, because I create and I hear the melodies in my head, and that kind of swirls together with what I start to sing and then as a songwriter write out. So that's, when I go in and pitch to my record producers, I don't really play an instrument. Like I'll tinker around on my keyboard, but I will never play that in public and spare everybody that. But, I'll sing it a cappella, but very much with the tempo and, choosing what key it's in and stuff. So yeah, I mean, that's why sometimes they're all over the place, but I like to call them little mini short stories that I tell
Nice.
with music. And as far as the Dodger Stadium was, I honestly, for me, that was the Olympic moment, that as a kid, I didn't get as a gymnast. It was just, I told someone finally what it felt like because I was up there at the top. I was an elite and headed towards the Olympic trials and stuff. But the idea of messing up on the world stage and disappointing my coaches, my parents, and the United States of America, that was just too much for me at 16. So I basically imploded. And so
That's a lot of pressure.
Understandably.
it was too
A
much
lot of pressure. Yeah.
and that's why honestly, my heart goes out to Simone Biles. So, because if you've never done gymnastics, you don't understand what they mean by what twisties are. And it is anxiety. It is about you're in your head and you're just lost. Your timing is lost. And usually with twisties, you go back into the gym and do timers and stuff in the pit. What was different about her is like she's doing 2.5 twists and triple flips with, or a triple twist with double flips. And yeah, that was a lot for her. And I was just like, oh, so I understood completely. Like I didn't even get there, but it was that one moment to be, walk out onto a stage. And I didn't look up until I was finished and sang Brave at the end of the song. Because I just needed to stay centered and do what I wanted to do there, which was really deliver an emotional moment of, and being super proud to be an American and to, be an LA girl, hustling hard in this city, and doing the one thing that I really love. Like I'm, have hearing loss in both of my ears. So it's taken me a very long time for my brain to try to hear pitch center.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not always great. It was the first time too where I had to wear an in-ear monitor, which I've never done, because ultimately that would have to act as both a hearing aid and the in-ear. And I've never been in that type of a stadium setting where the gigantic speakers that were right across from me, that's why you have to wear the in-ear, is when you sing, the echo of what you just sang about a second and a half later comes right back at you. And so you're trying to listen and focus on the organist that's helping and playing with you while you're hearing your voice too. It was the one time I was glad I had a hearing loss in the right ear. But yeah, it was just, again, the most proud moment, I think, of my life, doing something that is so personal. And you cannot be nervous at all when you sing that song because it is so hard and the range is so broad, and you don't want to mess up the words because everybody knows the words. So there's a lot of things, but again, a lot of people could see it at the end. I just literally had tears in my eyes. I was like, oh, it was overwhelming.
And so. Dodger Stadium has a capacity of 56,000 people.
No,
plus whoever's watching it on TV. Like that is nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have had the experience of singing to a smaller arena. It was 5,000. Mm-hmm. I cannot imagine 51,000 more people.
Yeah, and they were very sweet. And again, I just wanted to sing really well for them. And I saw a soldier that was there, and you could tell he's done so many tours. And I saw him right before, and I told him, I was like, "This is for you." So
cool.
That's awesome. That is such a cool moment.
When you were done, you posted pictures online of the after when you were done singing, and I don't think that you probably didn't stop smiling for a good couple of days afterwards, because that was quite the smile. You had just like permagrin afterwards. You were so happy in those photos. Yeah, that was a really cool moment to be able to see it from that angle. So congrats on that.
Thank you. It's like the it's that pinnacle moment of all of the hard work and again the struggle. And it's like, you know, a lot of people are like, are you sure? And even my ear doctors, because I visit them often, they're like, we're not really sure how you do that, given the severity of your hearing loss. But it's like, I love it, and I'm not going to let this stop me. So, you know, it's like, I'm just going to keep at it. And so that was, again, my little Olympic moment. And
Very
my
cool.
brothers and my mom were there on the field with me. And for the first time too, again, like I said, as a gymnast, I really did, took me a long time to kind of overcome what that felt like to, you know, not do what I was hoping to set out to do, and to have their support behind me in that moment. It just felt like it all came full circle. So, and it's the struggles ultimately that you're most grateful for when you have those, you know, pinnacle moments.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
So I have quite a few family members who are little people. My uncle played one of the Munchkins in The New Wizard of Oz, and he also would go and do the Oompa Loompas, like a traveling thing. I don't remember exactly what that was. But I've also assisted like the deaf community in various activities, from working to learning. And I really appreciated your award-winning music video, Panic Button.
Oh, thank you.
For starters, it was phenomenal. It was just beautiful to watch, and like the song and the lyrics to it, I just absolutely loved. So in the subject of that, it's sharing your deepest, darkest fears in this place in hopes that it will help others to feel that they are not alone in their struggle. Could you tell us about what that song means to you and how it came about, please?
Yes, of course. We'll just keep it with the same theme of origins. That song is born of what it felt like to have to walk away from gymnastics and the only thing I'd ever known, and because, you know, again, I was in trouble. And just like we've talked about a little bit, your physical health is tied to your mental health, that's tied to your emotional health. And, you know, the stress and the anxiety of trying to be perfect, to be the best, to not make a mistake on a national stage, on the world stage, it was too much. And for me, I started imploding in, you know, losing too much weight. So that was the end for me. Yeah, it's like I needed to save my life by leaving the thing that I loved the most, that was my life. That felt like the panic button moment, and to keep one foot in front of the other, trust your journey. Like, I read every single book there was to read on anorexia so I could understand what was happening to me. It's almost like the best way I can describe it for anyone who might be having a similar issue is I thought I was in control of my body. And if I looked thinner, you know, in the leotard and stuff, of course, the judges and everybody liked that. And it felt like I had control, but at a certain point, you just lose control. So that was the panic button. And it's just, again, don't push it. You know, there's books, there's people, there's hope, there's other journeys meant for you. And finding joy. I think I've danced and obviously a lot of that emotional angst out. And then I wrote it for sure in these lyrics of, you know, especially in the bridge where, you know, talk about clarity takes time, you know, to understand the madness of your own mind, and what we do to ourselves. So if there's any message that I could ever give anybody in that darkest moment that you have, which you have it on your own, there's nobody with you, just don't push the panic button. Breathe, start there. You know, even if you're in a puddle on the floor, just push yourself off the floor and get up one leg at a time and breathe, and reach out to a friend. a family member, anybody. So yeah. And I will say, my friend Amanda is actually, her and I and our friend Stephanie, we would have little meetings, because Stephanie is a producer, Amanda's a writer and a director. I'm a dancer, actor, songwriter, singer. I really wanted to go for something big, and she's the one who helped me to find my director. And then my friend Stephanie helped me to maintain that production, because it was a big production. So and again, it's those opportunity to again share the deepest, darkest parts of what I've experienced and gone through, and again, hopefully to shed a little light that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and you'll find your way back, and it makes you stronger. It makes you more compassionate and empathetic to, and with everybody that's around you. And I think that's one of the things, like all of the friends on Instagram, there's a handle called The Art of Mandalore, and she did like a little appreciation post, and then today I saw all of the wonderful sweet messages from fans, and they're like, every day is Misty Appreciation Day, and I made sure to send them back some love, and because that's what we're here for. And it is the human connection. And again, whatever you're going through, there's tons of other people going through it. So don't feel alone or afraid. Reach out to somebody. So, and that gets the momentum going to really start to understand that people really do care, and they do have a lot of goodness and love.
Beautiful.
Human connection is so important. So
very much so.
As I've already mentioned, I have a 4-year-old daughter, and as a result, a lot of children's programming has gone through my TV in recent years. And you are the voice of Sid the Science Kid, as well as the voice of Lulu on Word Party, both of which are shows that are in my house on a regular basis.
Yay.
So what is it about working with children's programming that attracted you to it? And what were some of your favorite shows when you were a kid?
Okay. Well, first, I'm actually the suit performer in the motion capture costume. My friend Drew Massey, he is a puppeteer and the voice of Sid. And then my friend Dorian Davies is Lulu's voice, and my puppeteer for that little panda. It's an opportunity to start to help be a part of the process of helping little kids learn. The idea that we did dance musicals on Word Party, and these are little babies, but it was so fun to be able to do choreography. It's not super complex, so I've seen videos where kids are bouncing on the bed too and doing the choreography, and that just makes me laugh and smile, because 1, they're getting exercise, 2, they're using body and brain, and 3, they're learning choreography. So, these skills that they'll need as far as memory and coordination and all of that. So, and I know the Jim Henson Company, they do a lot of research as far as children's development. So I'm just proud to be a part of it, and to embody these characters that, again, children grow up with. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really fun.
I didn't think about how big of an impact shows like that would have on like the physical development of a child. I never thought about that, but then it makes sense, because they're up there doing those same dances with them. They're following along with that. I just hadn't quite thought of it from that perspective before, I guess.
And again, I'm only 4'9", so having a career in dancing, a professional one, that was never going to be an option for me. I didn't know that. I learned that the hard way up here. So, and again, it's just through those kinds of struggles of auditioning for every dance agency and getting cut because of, my height. I always go with the understanding and, that energetic love of, if you really work hard at it, you'll find there's a place for you, and you'll find it. And sure enough, I never dreamt that I would be doing a Broadway style, Some Like It Hot musical, and be the center, like the diva dancer in my own, dance and song about noodles. So it was pretty amazing.
It is funny how like you don't expect life to turn out the way that it does, and then suddenly you're dancing and singing about noodles.
Yeah, I will say, we love what we do. You have to, because after a grueling 10-hour workday, especially, we would always shoot Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all of the curriculum, and then Friday was music video day. But we would have to do our entire shoot days on Thursdays. They would give us like 15 minutes to get out of all of that costume and stuff, have a quick snack, and then go back to the stage and then learn the choreography for the next morning to start the music video shoots. And, after all of that, I would come home too and rework the choreography. So I would have it in my body and my brain, because in those suits as well, there's a million other things that you're focusing on, which, your arms cannot come down to your body, because then you're intersecting the character. So just, your spatial awareness of you on top of trying to hit and do all of the choreography as well that you learned the night before was pretty crazy. So, but again, I love what I do, so it was worth it.
So yeah, she dances to noodles or does songs about noodles, and I sing to tater tots. It's fair. It happens. Mine was probably more Guinness related. That's a whole nother topic.
I'm still sad I didn't put that on video.
Yeah, well, keep it up. It might happen again. You never know. And now a word from our sponsor. Since 1982, Vital Signs and Graphics has been helping professionals with all their image, logo, and design needs. Perhaps you're looking for signs and banners, truck and trailer lettering, business cards, brochures, or other image and marketing aids. Vital Signs and Graphics in-house design studio has you covered. From logos to apparel, start to finish, Vital Signs and Graphics has everything you need to look and feel professional. Call Rick at 231-652-3300. He'll get you noticed. Welcome back to the FSF Popcast. All right, so Misty, you've had some really cool roles and things, even behind the scenes working on stunts and things leading up to your work on The Mandalorian, both as Kulil and the Frog Lady. But I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I don't know if you may have noticed by some of the things in the back.
Yes.
But I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I always love to talk to people about their entry point into Star Wars. So were you a fan of Star Wars before starting to work on The Mandalorian? If so, what was your entry point into the fandom?
From the very beginning, I was super young, too young to understand the first movie, but Empire Strikes Back, me and my younger brothers, my mom took us to that. I think I was 6 and they were 5. And, obviously it already had 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, 5.5. So almost 3.5 years of gymnastics under my belt. Seeing Luke Skywalker train with Yoda, and he was doing handstands and one-arm handstands and front tucks.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I had that moment of, I could be a Jedi. It was amazing. So from that moment on, obviously I was a huge fan, and it never really occurred to me. Kind of just was going about my work and journey. And I think, and it's just one of those things where when you literally vocalize it, it comes to fruition. I was at the Scum and Villainy Cantina, I think about 3 months before the audition. And, we were just having a good time, and it just, said with no real, firm belief of it happening. But I was just like, That would be really cool. I want to be in a Star Wars show. I don't know how or when or what, but it's like I'm a suit performer and that would be cool. So and then that just went away. And then again, 3 months later, I auditioned for, I didn't know what it was at the time, but The Mandalorian. Yeah.
That's cool. So you auditioned for, I'm assuming the role of Kulil first, and then and then Frog Lady came secondarily. So when it came time to Frog Lady, did you have to audition for that, or were they like, "Hey, we have another suit performer thing that you might be perfect for"?
I started with going into Legacy Effects, and Tamara, who was also one of my puppeteers for Frog Lady, she built the costume. And so, but again, I didn't just assume that I was going to get the part, but I was really hoping.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
So then when they were just like, okay, well, we need you to come in for a screen test with John and Dave, I was like, okay. So, went in and did that and kind of found her, I guess like they called it her timing, but that shifted and changed a little bit, obviously from scene to scene, moment to moment. So I think my most nerve-wracking moment was when I got the email of, okay, so you and Pedro have, rehearsals with Peyton, and I was just like, I literally was super relaxed, and I get the email, and then I read it, and I just sat up like, okay. He was like, can I have my scripts now? So
that's cool.
I love talking to people in the film and TV show industry, and they so nonchalantly say these names that like I'm over here with the, oh my gosh, you have I was told I have a screen test with John and Dave. Okay. Or, hey, well, you and Pedro.
Yeah.
Like, if my name and Pedro Pascal's name were in the same sentence ever, I would be a puddle.
I know.
That is so cool.
He's super, super, super sweet too.
Oh my gosh. I can only imagine. Only imagine how incredibly sweet he is, because he just looks like the sweetest, most gentle person you've ever come across. And it's like, I want to run scenes with Pedro Pascal.
Well, him doing his lines, holding a pillow didn't, make him, right? Made him seem like a big cuddly teddy bear, and yeah. Even that, I was like, because you see him doing his lines so that, and I'm like, oh, well, that's actually kind of sweet. Okay.
And I love that, like, when Mandalorian first came out and people are like, oh, it's gonna be a bounty hunter show. I'm like, no, this is a show about an adoptive father and his journey through journey in fatherhood. It's such a dad show, and I love it.
It's fun.
I totally got distracted about what you're saying, and I got stuck on Scum and Villainy Cantina. And I realized, is that a real place? That's a real place.
It is.
And they have fully loaded Vader tots.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Or the Marvel mac and cheese. And I'm just like,
when are we going?
Where is this little slice of heaven at?
LA.
It's in Hollywood. It's right there. It's on Coalinga and Hollywood Boulevard. So,
man, if we're ever gonna get Tim to sing to Tater Tots again, they're gonna be the fully loaded Vader tots.
That's your chances have thusly improved.
They've got like the Ring of Power drink, the Fantastic Four fizz.
Oh my god!
I mean, it's the nerd geek heaven of
it is
restaurants.
far too far away, man. Is it worth flying across the country for tater tots? Yes, it is.
Always. Because it's the journey, it's the experience. So
Tim's like, how can I afford plane tickets? Which kidney do I not like? Which child do I not like? I mean, kidney, not kidney, right?
Debatable, depends on the day.
I have 2 kidneys. I only have 1 kid, so I will sell them my right kidney. It's the one that makes kidney stones. It's got to be worth more, right?
I mean, I'm willing to go.
You and your toy.
Yeah. I got to turn that off. I'll be playing with that all afternoon if I don't. Okay, back to the interview. I'm a responsible adult.
You're not.
Ish.
Just because you have a driver's license and you can buy alcohol does not mean that you're a responsible adult. That is why you have Shayna. She is the responsible adult.
That's why I say I have 3 children. She has 4.
Truth. My husband has 1 child. I have 2.
There you go.
Totally true. So, Misty, we've talked about how you actually mentioned that you were more comfortable in the roles where you're in a suit versus when it is your face on camera.
Mm-hmm.
So your 2 roles in The Mandalorian, you don't show your face for either of those, and they're very different characters in how they move. And their body languages feel very distinct to that character while also being uniquely expressive to that character, which is fascinating. It's an amazing thing that you can do. So how do you link that back to your early gymnastics and dance training, being able to get your body to do those different movements for different characters?
The gymnastics and the dance training, that is, the coordination and also the physical strength. So that's definitely that foundation. I've been fortunate to do this type of work from the time I was 18, starting at Disneyland and, being trained a bit in character performance there, the difference between embodying Minnie Mouse rather than Donald Duck. For me, I definitely am a people watcher too. So I'm always curious about where people hold their weight in their feet. And, for some of my more masculine characters, my feet are always slightly turned in or parallel, where Frog Lady, I turned her feet way out and, just had and, rotated physically through my body, my arms out. And she had such pretty delicate hands. So, I made sure that I used those a lot. With Kulil, my work is super physical. I've torn both of my calf muscles. So I used the one leg, I gave him a little bit of a limp. And I used my right leg because that muscle didn't quite heal properly. And I had to go back to shooting Sid the Science Kid with it was torn calf muscle. So it didn't heal properly. But it's just really studying the scripts. Once I got my scripts, I wrote notes down and I worked on my dialogue every single day. And obviously, not everybody knows it, but we shoot out of order. So I wanted to make sure that he, especially Quill, because he has such a short time on screen, he did have a beautiful arc that occurred and everybody was able to experience that. So it's a combination of all of the things. I've been fortunate to work with legacy effects for a long time on different characters as well. All of my puppeteers on both the characters we've worked together before. And so it's coming together and getting there early on set, talking with them about the things that I would want to do, telling them when I might use a physical cue to help them with the dialogue tracks and stuff. But, again, it's just a collaborative effort between a lot of people that is, the foundation of it always has to be love and focus and work. And, fortunately, I understood Quill from the whole of my life experience. It's not always been wonderful. I've definitely had struggles. And I definitely incorporated the journey of healing through yoga as to, embody his wisdom. And with Frog Lady, she's just a sweet love. Everything about her is just about femininity and kindness and compassion and empathy. And so that's always what she was. She's not aggressive. She just wanted to get home and was going to get there, was going to make it no matter what. And as we know from the big journeys, it never goes smoothly. Right. You crash and burn first, and then right. A beautiful relationship develops from that, and lessons are learned. So
exactly.
Is that the actual mask from the show?
No, this is a beautiful gift. It's from, a wonderful artist like Chris Bartlett, who's a good friend of mine who does all of the droids. He had it made for me, but yeah, a few
that is a
people
cool
asked
gift.
if she was, and no, it's just a beautiful replica. So
Chris is a great guy.
he's so nice. So yeah, genuine and sweet and hardworking.
Yeah, we love talking with him. He was a lot of fun.
Yes.
So we love stories and behind the scene type of stories. Do you have any like funny or hilarious moments that happen behind the scenes that we don't usually get to hear?
Oh yeah. I was hoping it might have ended up in a blooper reel, but it didn't. When we were shooting season 1, it was me and Grogu was there in his little crate. We were in my house, and everyone was there. Gina was there, and Brendan, Rio, who was like in the suit for IG-11, and all of my furniture is really tiny. And I was sitting on this super narrow wooden stool that was really low, and the animatronic board for Kulil was in my backpack. And so I was very, very heavy. And it's the scene where he comes in with tea and they draw their blasters. And, I, kind of did that. And there was one take where I leaned back too far and was like, and so I just fell over, and the, camera operator's like, one moment your face was in the screen, the next moment we just saw feet. So, and then Gina couldn't stop laughing for the rest of that shoot. Yeah. So there were like a lot of moments like that. Obviously, my voice and my laugh coming out of his mouth, that just always made the whole camera crew laugh. And, I would, talk to my guys and have to yell stuff. And they're just like, it's just wrong. That cute little voice like, coming out of there. And, a few times walking down the ramp of the Razor Crest, I would slip and they would get nervous, but I would just be laughing. And they're like, okay. We'll just do that one more time. It's like, I'm fine. So I don't always have good traction on this ramp. So it's a lot of sand on the sets.
Oh, there
That's
would
funny.
be.
Yes.
Do
I
you
always
also
thought it
hate
was
sand?
nice. I always thought it was funny, when you'd see the original film shot of like A New Hope, when you'd hear David Pro's voice instead of James Earl Jones, because you're so used to hearing James Earl Jones as Darth Vader. And to hear David Prose do the voice, and it was just, and I imagine it would be much the same hearing your voice instead of Nick Nolte for Kulil. So I could see how that would be entertaining.
It was. I mean, they heard him on set because they had speakers all around the set, so that all the actors that were not in heads and with earpieces, they could hear his dialogue as well. So I would do the dialogue during our private rehearsals with Dave and John and, whoever was directing, whether it was Rick or Bryce or Peyton. But then once I got suited up, that's when they would switch, except for Frog Lady. I did all of her dialogue myself. Her cute little voice and sounds came in post-production with D. Bradley Baker. So.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, Misty, we're at a stage in our little interview here where one of two things happens. Either we take you through a quiz or we ask you a silly question. And today we're going to ask you a silly question.
Okay.
All right. So imagine you're driving down the freeway. What's your favorite song to belt out with the windows down and the volume all the way up, and why?
Probably Lady Gaga. Edge of Glory. One, because I don't have her range yet, but I just sing it like I do. And it always gives me a lift. It's just, I've always felt that way where I'm just on the brink of something, but, with The Mandalorian, it felt like all things that I've ever done have prepared me for this moment. And then the same thing with singing the national anthem, you know, the work and the training for over a decade. It just kind of came to that glorious moment. So,
Excellent.
but yeah, I love that song.
Fair enough. That's a good answer. I like it.
Answer.
Well, Misty, thank you so much for being on our show today. Where can our listeners go to find out more about you and your work?
Oh gosh, lots of places. YouTube is a good place to go to see music videos, and music is on there. I have lyric videos, as well as, you know, my demo reels are on there. And my website, mistyrosas.com, that has a lot of photos, you know, of projects and behind the scenes. And of course, I'm on all of the socials, Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. So find me there. It's
Awesome.
at mistyrosas.com.
Awesome. We are going to link all of those for our viewers and our listeners so that they can check out what you've got coming up.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And we also want to remind everybody that subscribing is the single most important thing you can do to help ensure that we get more amazing guests like Misty Rosas here today to have these fun conversations for you to be able to listen to. So please subscribe. It helps out more than we can ever really tell. And seriously, go check out her links. Misty's got a really cool social media presence, and there's a lot of fun stuff that you'll see from her out on the convention trails and a whole lot of other things, and some really cool Star Wars shenanigans she gets up into, so you guys want to check that out. But if for whatever reason you are not happy with the content of our show today, please feel free to lodge a complaint with the head of our complaint department. That, of course, is the Frog Lady from The Mandalorian. Sure, she may not be a direct threat to us, but her sure sense of will and dedication to see something through despite the temperature drop or the number of those godforsaken alien winter spiders. And just a second, just for the writers of the show, seriously, what's with the spiders? Can we not use spiders?
I forgot about the spiders. I had pushed the spiders out of my brain.
Yeah, it's a bad day. Anyway, she's going to need 2 copies of your complaint. One for her and one to give to one of her bounty hunter buddies, because, you know, she's got some, and she's going to make sure that the offending parties get taken care of. And if we want any chance of survival, we just have to be sure to stay away from her eggs.
Well, thanks
Thank
again,
you,
Misty.
Yeah, thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yeah, I hope so.
All right, guys, that's going to conclude us for the FSF Podcast. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Ciao.
On behalf of the rest of the hosts of the FSF Podcast, we want to thank you for listening to this episode. If you'd like to be a guest on a future episode, please contact us by means of Twitter or Instagram using the handle @FSFPodcast, or go to www.fsfpodcast.com and click on the Contact Me link. Thanks again, and hope you enjoyed the episode.